Well, this morning I've nipped out to Eakring because I wanted to show you this. Nothing particularly special about it, but it is interesting as it's representative of how much our countryside has changed. All will be revealed. I'm at Eakring, or technically between Eakring and the village of Kersal, and I'm at an area which has always been known locally as 50 Fields, and it was called that because this area used to consist of around 50 fields. Now it is 2, but about 15-20 years ago it was 1. You may well be able to make out the hedge that runs from right to left up over the hill, and that was recently planted, say about 15-20 years ago. I can remember it being planted, and it's grown up since. So when I first started birdwatching Eakring area in 1997, this was one huge open field, and it's been like this for many years. And it was after the war that hedgerows were ripped out, and what was 50 fields at one time became one big one. At least now it's 2 rather than 1, but it just is so representative, this field, of much of the countryside and of how much hedgerow we've lost over the years. Just across the road from the field that I've showed you lies Eakring Meadows, which is a series of rare habitat in the form of these old meadows. And both this side of the beck, which runs along the tree line at the end of this field that you can see, and the other side, the countryside is still quite unusual, and that the fields are small and the hedgerows are large. And you can see, certainly to the left of this meadow, how large and established the hedgerow is. But this type of field is indicative of what most of the Eakring area would have been like many years ago. How it would be nice to get this back again, but unfortunately it will never happen because of the increased size of farm machinery. Fields like this just aren't practical. The Eakring area of Nottinghamshire has seen up to 50% hedgerow loss over the years. And I dare say that Eakring is no different to anywhere else in the county. 50% of hedgerows is an enormous amount. If you think of the mileage of hedgerow, There's a few redwings just flying out of the roadside hedgerow. And to be honest, it's roadside hedgerows that we've really only ever kept. We're looking east from Eakring Field Farm, and we're looking down the valley past Kersal and down towards Cornton. This ancient hedgerow is probably in need of thickening up a bit now. It's certainly never ever been cut or trimmed in all the years I was bird watching Eakring. But these old hedgerows get to a point where they become less used, certainly as a breeding site by birds. You'll get a lot of birds that will forage in them. But it's a terrific, this is one of the oldest untouched hedgerows in the Eakring area. In fact, I'm struggling to think of where there's another one the same as this. But it's hard to imagine the number of hedgerows that were in this area. Hedgerows, of course, are vitally important. Important for everything. How our countryside's changed. It's a pity that farming can't go back to how it used to be, to the post-war years. But it'll never happen, so don't ever dream about that coming true. It's impractical now. A country made up of such tiny fields, it's not practical. Certainly not practical in terms of food production. These modern large fields are here to stay. And the ones I'm looking across the road at now, you wouldn't believe this was just a minor road between two villages, but it's used as a big cut through. But these larger fields, the hedgerows that remain, that divide them, are in such poor quality now that I think it's only a matter of time before the fields become bigger. 2 into 1 will go. And while farming is doing some good things in terms of conservation, with the set-aside strips and the planting of copses, I still think that farmers are planting more trees than what the conservation organisations are. We certainly need to protect what hedgerows we've got left while they're still here. Every year more seem to disappear, quite subtly and without warning. There was a hedgerow near here about 20 years ago. It was a roadside hedgerow up towards Neasall, which is up there, and that was ripped out and immediately replanted. Yet it was a perfectly good hedgerow, well established, been there decades. Ripped out and replanted. The changing face of the British countryside. The days of fields like this are long gone.